What do we have to look forward to with the Chicago White Sox in 2019? Alright, everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a little podcast segment. Let's talk about baseball. This is the first time I've ever talked about sports on this channel, so if I sound like I'm completely out of the loop, go ahead and hit that like button anyway. Nah, seriously. What do we have to look forward to with the Chicago White Sox? I haven't actually been able to follow the MLB for about 5 years, from 2012 to 2017. I was living out of the country for a while. And in 2018, this year, I got back into watching the games in normal time. And it's just been an absolute ride. This season was... It started off really rough, and, Wellington Castillo had an 80-game suspension for using PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, which was not a steroid. I believe it might have been something associated with vitamin shots of some kind. I forget exactly, but one of the people on NBC Sports wrote an article about it, and they said, the White Sox are already the worst team in baseball, and it's getting worse, or something to that effect, and I was just like, holy crap. It started out as, this giant clusterfuck, but are the White Sox really the worst team in baseball? No, that's why we have things like the Kansas City Royals to save us, and also things like the Baltimore Orioles. Yeah. But one of the big things that we can think about when we're anticipating 2019, I'm just going to have to say it. The White Sox need another long ball hitter. They need someone who can put more home runs on the board. We might have seen the retirement of Hawk Harrelson, but it's like, we need someone who can put it on the board, yes. It's like, Jose Abreu had, as of today, he had his injury, of course. We're in the twilight of the MLB season, but as of today, just looking at the list here, Jose Abreu had 22 home runs and 78 RBIs. He was definitely, I felt, the most consistent hitter on the White Sox when you actually look at the games every single day, until his hiatus because of his surgery. I was very impressed with Jose Abreu, and I was just like, absolutely consistency. That is just one of the things that the White Sox need to pick up for 2019. What is going on with Matt Davidson? What is going on with Yoan Moncada? It's like Yoan Moncada had, 17 home runs, 61 RBIs. All right, that's pretty good, right? Well, look at it this way. So many times, when I was watching the White Sox play this year, it's like, all right, Yoan Moncada hits a solo home run. All right, Yoan Moncada gets 1 RBI. And then the next night, he's 0 for 4. And then the next night, he's 0 for 4. One night, he was 0 for 4 strikeouts. And every strikeout was a strikeout looking. It's like, I could strike out looking. You could strike out looking. Anybody can strike out looking. You don't even have to swing. So definitely, we just need a player that can work with Jose Abreu, who can also just be getting, 30 home runs in a season and RBIs in the hundreds. I think that, if we had somebody like that batting in the top 4, it could be anyone from the face of the planet Earth, anyone who can do the job, no specific name. But the White Sox need that in their batting order. That is just one of the things that will help them get a chance at getting the wild card. Because if we're going to talk about anticipating the 2019 season, one of the biggest things that people were saying about this, and I read a forum conversation on this, and they were like, the White Sox might not make the playoffs as, the winners of the AL Central. They might not win the division, but in 2019, the White Sox have a chance at the wild card. And then in 2020, the White Sox have a chance to win the division. And, it's like, as, somebody who was just watching the games, I was just like, we have so many great players on the team. What really happened? Why weren't the White Sox hired? Tim Anderson is such a great baseball player. It's just like what he does on the field, what he does at the plate, it's like, he's a star. So many games, were thwarted because runners couldn't get to first base because of throws from Tim Anderson. I would say that Yolmer Sanchez did pretty well at third base, and some people were kind of hesitant about him playing third base this year, but they were like, he did very well at the fielding. Lots of great catches, lots of great throws, although he wasn't perfect, and he did miss some critical ones, but behind the plate, I expected a little bit more from Yolmer Sanchez. It's like on the year, he only had 8 home runs and 52 RBIs. So it's like at the plate, and I would definitely expect that he could have contributed a little more. But, you know, if we're going to talk about contributing, let's talk about Daniel Polka. As of today, you know, he has 27 homers, 64 RBIs. You know, that's just excellent. I mean, Daniel Polka was the star. He was the guy who, you know, the White Sox were just like, he's our rookie of the year, if that's the way you want to look at it. But, of course, there are other big names out there like Shohei Ohtani. And if we just had, you know, somebody who could be playing like Daniel Polka, Jose Abreu, and just one additional name, I don't know anyone from any corner of baseball who could just be added to the lineup to just be getting more numbers. And when I was talking about consistency, let's talk about Matt Davidson for a second. Because Matt Davidson is someone who started off the year with a bang. As of now, he has 20 homers, 61 RBIs in the twilight of this season's MLB. But it's like, keep in mind, 3 of those homers came on the first day in Kauffman Stadium, you know, in Kansas City. And it's like, if you get rid of the first game of the year, that goes down to 17 homers. And, you know, 17 home runs on the season for Matt Davidson, I was expecting him to get more. Like more. And maybe you hear I'm going to start sounding like a broken record when I'm just like, every player just needs to be doing more. Yeah, that's how you win a championship. I mean, look at the 2005 Chicago White Sox. Every single player on that team contributed something. I mean, talking about every single player in the hitting rotation. I mean, because we're talking about hitting right now. And yeah, we had pitchers like Mark Burley, who was an absolute all-star. Yeah, you know, he was like, I said, you know, as a White Sox fan, of course I was telling everybody, you know, back in the day, yeah, he's the best pitcher in baseball. But, you know, he was, yeah, really, really good. But in the hitting rotation, you know, who did we have? People like Jermaine Dye, Paul Konerko, Scott Podsednik. Oh, and some guy named A.J. Pierzynski. You remember him? Yeah, of course you do. But when it comes to another thing, if we're not only going to talk about hitting, I'd say, though, you know, just looking at the comments on YouTube and in the comment sections on Facebook, what other White Sox fans are talking about is, where on earth was the bullpen in 2018? They are just so critical of the bullpen. They're so critical of the pitching staff. People like Lucas Giolito, people expected more from him, you know, but it's like, I would say that Reynaldo Lopez really stepped it up, you know. It's like, he started out the year, I was like really kind of like, you know, kind of nervous anytime Reynaldo Lopez would get on the mound, and I would just sort of be like, oh crap, there's this guy again, he's not that good. But no, in one of his recent games, you know, at the end of the year, he posted 10 strikeouts in 5.1 innings pitched, 10 strikeouts. That's good. I mean, those are almost like CC Sabathia statistics. That's good. I mean, when the Giants played the Yankees, CC Sabathia slaughtered them. I hate CC Sabathia. Why? Because he messes things up for the White Sox. That's the only reason. He did 5.2 innings pitched, 12 strikeouts. They were destroyed in that one. But, you know, we also had the chance to see Matt Davidson on the mound throwing a few pitches. Not going to lie, that was pretty good. And, you know, it was like a really, really strong team of White Sox players, because by the end of this year, you know, I was just like, baseball season's running out, and this is the first time when I was just thinking, holy crap, I don't want to wait, you know, all these damn months to see the MLB start again. It's like, I just want this to keep going, you know. It was just such a high to see the White Sox playing all the time, you know, because that's a big difference between baseball compared to football. I mean, like, we have, you know, over 160 games in the MLB regular season, and this was also the first year that, you know, I was like, oh, there's a football game on tonight. I was like, whatever, I'll just watch the one tomorrow. And it's like, oh, wait, yeah, NFL, yeah, they don't play every day. But that's too bad. Also, we'll be looking onward without Hawk Harrelson, you know, in the announcer's box. And that will be quite different, because as long as I can remember, I just remember hearing people say, you can put it on the board, yes. Stretch, 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 he looks up, you can put it on the board, yes. And no, I'm not good at impressions. But when we also want to talk about some other things that the White Sox had going on this year, it's like, Nicky Delmonico had a bit of a hot streak. Adam Engel had an amazing, couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks of the summer. Adam Engel had a good season. He was robbing multiple pitches, like the long catches where he just, robbed people of home runs. And then he made all the MLB highlight reels, and they were just like, he was doing it frequently. And he was also hitting home runs. I think his confidence was just paramount. But one of the big things about Adam Engel is, it's just he did not have that consistency that I was talking about. And it's like, I really kind of expected to, I just expect, if we're going to be talking about getting the team into the playoffs, we need people who are not just going to have a good game. You're not just going to have a good game here and a good game there. You're going to be doing sort of like what Jose Abreu was doing, was always getting, the RBIs in, always getting, hits on the board. And, of course, home runs, but really about scoring. Because, as Mark McGwire said, the now defaced Mark McGwire said years ago, I've always remembered this reading in Sports Illustrated magazine when I was a kid. He said, I care more about a 2-run single than I do about a solo home run. And I've been talking a lot about home runs, but that's one of the things that attracts us the most to baseball, right? Home runs. But if we look at some numbers here, Daniel Polka, 27 home runs, but only 64 RBIs, right? Tim Anderson, 20 home runs, 64 RBIs. Home runs aren't everything. A 2-run single is more valuable than a home run. And, look at players like Ichiro Suzuki, or even Ty Cobb, if we want to go back that far. They weren't, they have less than 200 career home runs, It's like both of those players, Ichiro and Ty Cobb. But it's like they were so good at hitting, and that's what counts. Not to mention, Ichiro is just like a Cooperstown giant, If you count his years in Japan, he would have eclipsed Pete Rose as the all-time hit king in baseball. I mean, he could throw, he could pitch, he could catch, he could run. He could do anything. It's like, Ichiro is just a absolute star. I'd say the only thing, that is kind of like a little bit of a blemish on Ichiro's record is his home run statistics, because people focus in on so much that, but yeah, he's a Cooperstown magnet, he's just going to be flying to there. But, if we want to talk more about the White Sox, we can welcome, things like Ryan Lamar hitting his first career home runs with the White Sox. He destroyed the Yankees in one game. They defeated the Yankees by only scoring 4 runs. Ryan Lamar had all 4 RBIs. I was just like, this is better than sex, It's just like, that was some entertainment right there. And if we're going to talk about things on the mound, overall, I had a good time watching Jace Fry pitch. I would say that, he had some of the consistency that we're going to be needing to starting to rebuild, rebound, and let's look onward. Now, if you're one of the 8 or 9 people that is listening to this, do you think that there is any possibility about these predictions that people have been making? The White Sox have a chance at the wild card for 2019 and the playoffs, winning the division in the AL Central 2020. I'll repeat that. The White Sox have a chance at the wild card 2019, winning the division in 2020. I'm definitely going to be optimistic, and I just want to say one more time, it was a good year. Like, the year started off with, the White Sox were losing all the time. I was like, all right, let's watch the White Sox lose again. I didn't even care. Then they had a bit of a hot streak, right before Jose Abreu got his injury, and he was actually saying on NBC Sports that he regretted that he wasn't there to help with the team because of his injury, because of his surgery. And I was just like, that's a real shame. But I actually got so much more competitive about it once they started winning again. I was like, I kind of just miss the days when I would just watch the games with no emotion at all. And, of course, Kopech will be out. Tommy John surgery, missing all of the next season. It's a real shame, but let's be optimistic and look on to 2019.